You're on the earth to be peacemakers. July 23, 2014. If you cry over spilled milk, you'll find that you nearly drown in your own tears. If you constantly sweat the small stuff, you'll find that you're constantly unhappy, and you might wonder why you can't seem to find the wholeness you want to feel. Some seekers reach a plateau of happiness and wholeness, only to leave it in favor of the next quarrel, the next drama that successfully takes them out of their divine center. It's easy to leave your center in favor of drama and plenty of other things that lower your vibration and make it difficult to reach a centered, loving space, but in all honesty, you have no more reason to keep doing so. You have no more reason to keep convincing yourselves to leave your center, a center that can be very hard to reach. You're on the earth to be peacemakers, to spread the harmony you can feel within, to as many others as you can, but if you constantly quarrel, you won't be able to spread a good vibration or raise awareness in the manner so many of you are destined to. Concerning yourselves with others. We recommend completely diminishing your perception of yourselves as finite, separate humans existing on the earth. When you do this, you'll find that all of the I's and me's naturally fade away, to be replaced with a pure desire to concern yourselves with others. When you cease worrying so much about yourselves and the drama that could easily entice you if you let it, you start to understand the importance of serving others in a clear and balanced way. Individual worries or concerns cease to matter, and they're replaced with a relentless desire to make others happy while serving oneself in small, balanced ways that don't support or feed the ego. Like we've said in the past, serving oneself is as important as serving others, but there is a difference between serving yourselves in a balanced way and constantly worrying about the wants and needs of the ego self. The ego strives to attain all kinds of material things that only satisfy for a short time before becoming as undesirable as anything else, and only when you can transcend any ego-driven perceptions of yourselves and the reality around you, will you transcend karma and duality in favor of the centered bliss you seek. We note that plenty of seekers want to refine the higher realms and serve others along the way, but they seem to meet a lot of difficulty in transcending the ego and ceasing to quarrel or involve themselves in things that are less than uplifting or enlightening. Living for spirit entails opening up to the divine and letting everything else fall by the wayside, and if you drain your natural energy by quarreling or doing anything else that helps the ego thrive, you'll find that you don't have the energy to support a spiritually flourishing lifestyle. Complete detachment from the physical material world is required, and while we don't recommend disassociating with the material world, we do recommend being open and detached. When the ego concerns itself with finite things, you aren't opened up by far. When you're heavily involved in a dualistic debate, which, sometimes, a lot of people will contribute to, you close yourselves off from the centeredness that helps many seekers thrive. It's important to lay down the need to defend the ego or be right if you want to collectively create a harmonious future, and as humanity comes together to start building your new world, you'll find that a lot of disagreements and debates sprout up. Humanity will meet a lot of challenges along the way of coming together and constructing your new society, because as many of you have come to learn by this point, you're all unique. You're one consciousness, in that you're composed of the same, pure spiritual matter, that which we've referred to as source energy or source consciousness, but each of your personalities entail a lot of individualism. A lot of different beliefs that some of you are very comfortable arguing about. It's okay to defend yourselves and your beliefs, but if you take it a step further by proclaiming your beliefs are the only correct ones, and quarreling with others who don't agree, you can depart your natural center and dip into distortion. You don't need to fall further into duality. No awakening soul is required to present their beliefs as if no others are correct, and as you're learning, your beliefs are as incomplete as your ascension journey. The things you believe and empower tend to help you find a greater state of consciousness and awareness, but they aren't so fixed and solid that you need to fall further into duality by arguing over them. The things you do and feel within are more important than the things you believe or empower, and if one's beliefs help them live in love and express this love to every facet of consciousness around them, they can feel free to embrace such beliefs. We don't recommend embracing them to the extent that one's comfortable duking it out over them. And despite your individuality, it's important for you all to be able to come together and love each other, in peace and harmony. Your new world can't be built if you, the souls building it, endlessly quarrel over how it should be constructed or what the heavenly realms you're re-entering will be like, and you'll have to be able to accept and respect that you each have differences in belief. In fact, it goes deeper than this. You each have differences in belief and philosophy, but these differences are only signposts to the deeper individuality and the drive to make sure it's recognized that's inherent in all of humanity. We note that many humans, even many seekers, want their beliefs or viewpoints to be heard and recognized. Many humans crave acceptance, and when some can't find this acceptance, they choose to descend into dualism and various other distortions that aren't nearly as helpful as living in love. A lot of work needs done before humanity can enter the positive future you're destined to enter, and much of this work will be centered on coming together and respecting your differences in belief, disregarding such differences in order to build your new world. We can say with absolute assurance that your new society can't be built if humanity refuses to accept one another, but we're confident that more souls will be able to adopt such acceptance when the time comes. The planetary consciousness is rising on a daily basis, and with every moment that passes, more souls are becoming aware of spirit and your ongoing evolution into the fourth and fifth dimensions. As they do, they seek to offer as much of themselves as they can to your planet's restoration and evolution, and as long as those of you who are aware continue working as diligently as you have, we can envision a future of widespread, direct action on the part of all of humanity. We can envision humanity taking numerous physical and spiritual routes to healing your planet and finding a higher state of consciousness. Physically, you'll have a lot of pollution-based damage to heal, and a lot of work to do to establish some type of governing body that'll be far smaller than your current but still efficient enough to run your planet, until the energies descending onto your minds and hearts make governing bodies no longer necessary. Governing bodies as you see them are necessary in the third dimension to maintain order, but unfortunately, many of your governments have long been infiltrated by the planetary elite and used for negative purposes that run against humanity's well-being. We can envision a temporary governing body being established with fair and honest people who won't want to deceive humanity for personal or financial gain, but this governing body won't be around for very long before the rising energies will empower each individual to offer themselves to the collective governing of your world. No more borders. Large organizations won't be necessary to run your planet, and needless to say, countries will no longer be separated from each other. By this we mean you won't be separated by borders, and while we don't necessarily advocate a one-world government, which is what the aforementioned elite wanted to establish, not for reasons of harmony but reasons of control, we can say that you'll each consider yourselves citizens of an up-and-coming galactic civilization, not citizens of any particular country or race. You'll eventually see that you are one consciousness composed of pure, endless source energy, and when this realization hits your minds and hearts, nobody on your planet will want to remain separate from each other. The division and hatred that have held you back will be replaced with full-on harmony, and the drive to collectively run your planet will be more turned up than it's been for centuries. We can envision a renaissance taking place that'll be similar to Atlantis and Lemuria, but the difference this time around will be that humanity achieves the collective ascension the Atlanteans were destined to achieve. The Lemurians were able to achieve it, and they chose to take refuge in the inner earth when the actions of the Atlanteans were turned up to extreme proportions, and the war that started in the name of obtaining and profiting from finite fossil fuels, which is the reason many wars are started in your current time, caused the destruction of both of the colonies. We don't intend for any such destruction to happen this time around, and as long as the conscious public continues to be awake and aware, diligently helping waves of others who might not have been able to attune to spirit to recognize the intense manner in which you've been held back and plotted against for centuries, you'll take a much different turn than many of you did in Atlantis. Your work in helping awaken others is more important than we could possibly express, but it isn't about awakening others to certain ideas, viewpoints, or belief systems. It's about helping all of humanity understand the importance of peace, love, and harmony, which, by now, might seem like cliché qualities that are only mentioned in channeled messages or spiritually inspired writings. They're only cliché if you perceive them to be, and we speak of them so much because of their importance to your construction of the utopian society of your dreams. In many ways, these qualities and plenty of others have been hammered into the minds and hearts of the conscious public by the company of heaven, and this is because we want you to understand just how essential they are to your future. If humanity remains divided, a lot of potentially potent progress will be brushed to the side, but we're more than confident that this won't happen because of the extent to which people are already becoming aware and using their awareness for positive purposes. The work you do to help humanity become aware is important, but how you choose to live your lives and the qualities you choose to express are just as important. You can produce waves of spiritually inspired material all day long that goes on to benefit the collective consciousness immensely, but in one fell swoop, you can reverse all of the positive progress you've made with a single negative expression. That's how powerful the negativity of a conscious seeker is. It can render the positive progress they've labored to make irrelevant. Kindness goes further than work. Of course, once you transcend negativity and start expressing positive emotions, start living a positive way of life, the destruction is itself reversed and replaced with the aforementioned positivity, which goes on to influence your collective consciousness more than anything. Is it hard to imagine that a smile and a few kind words to another can go further than, say, the longest and most detailed channeled message or spiritually inspired writing? It's all about your vibration and how you use it to influence the collective consciousness, and if you can put yourselves in a constant, positive, uplifted space while remembering to stay balanced enough not to blatantly deny any negativity that comes to the surface, you'll find that your kindness and positivity affected the minds and hearts of millions of souls. Commitment to love and kindness are more important than we could hope to express, and as long as you can stay committed to embodying the divine qualities and get back up on the horse if you find that you've faltered, you'll help humanity, and you'll find along the way that you helped yourselves. You don't just help humanity find a higher vibration when you embody love and positivity. You soar into a much purer state of consciousness than you would have if you remained mentally rigid or refused to express peace and love over hatred and division. We'll make our final expressions for this communication with the recommendation not to take yourselves or your existence too seriously. We've recommended this in the past, and this is because it's important for anyone who wants to live in love and enjoy the aforementioned wholeness. If you're rigidly serious about your lives and your work to help humanity become aware, you'll find that you're never truly happy. Releasing the pressure so many of you tend to put on yourselves and the people around you will help you feel far better than continuing to employ such pressure, and when you can completely let it go, refusing to protrude from your happy center in favor of the stress that holds you so far back, you'll have truly made it. You'll start to understand that your lives aren't meant to be difficult, and in fact, they're meant to be far more joyful than many of you allow them to be. You simply have to step into this joy. Anchor it and welcome it into your perception. It'll never reach you if you don't, but if you do choose to open up to it, you'll find that you're far happier and more fulfilled than ever before. The lower vibrations are fighting hard to keep their grip on humanity, but you've learned far too much to continue to let them influence you. At this late stage of the game, you have the potential to be nothing less than masters, who walk the earth for the sole purpose of expressing your mastery for everyone around you to benefit from. Eventually, all of humanity will embody a level of mastery that's unlike anything your society has yet seen, but for now, continue to practice your budding divine abilities from the loving, centered space that affects the collective vibration more than the work it's responsible for. Thank you to my higher self and spiritual guides. Channeled through Wes Anak. cultureofawareness.com